So Jim, you know that list I always talk about in the comments?
Oh yeah, the one with people's show ideas and requests?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got it right here. So what do you want to do?
High level play.
Today we're doing high level play on WebDM. All right, Jim.
Yeah.
We've reached tier 4.
Okay.
Let's talk about high level play. Where do we go from here?
So, I mean, there's this real conundrum in Dungeons & Dragons where earlier versions of the game had this concept of name level, somewhere between 8th and 10th level, depending on the edition and class, where your character starts to enter retirement.
Yeah.
And they get a stronghold and start attracting followers. They build a tower and recruit some apprentices. They construct a temple and
Maybe have some kids.
Maybe have some kids. They get involved in local politics, but they cease to go on adventures
Right.
as we know them. And you sort of switch back to your lower level henchmen, or you start like another character or campaign, and the higher level characters fade into the background. And so this domain level play, as it's sometimes called, was really what the scope of high-level campaigns looked like in earlier editions of D&D. That kind of fell away in 3rd edition whenever followers and strongholds were shifted off to a feat, the leadership feat. You no longer got them automatically. And I guess this is a good time to say that or as a disclaimer, that there's epic level campaigns, which generally are going to be levels 15 through 20 or above, and then there's epic in scope, which can be from 1st level onward.
Right.
So we're not talking about campaigns that are epic in scope. There are plenty of people's campaigns that from the get-go are epic in scope. We're talking about epic level play. And so by my reckoning, around 3rd edition, Wizards of the Coast sort of stopped supporting higher level campaigns. There was the epic level handbook, which as many people who are familiar with 3rd edition know was a hot mess. I'm not really sure what tier 3 and above, what I forget what it was called, the epic level tier in 4th edition with the destinies kind of looked like. We never played at that level.
Yeah, we never got that high.
We never got that far in 4th edition. And so I'm turning towards 5th edition, and I'm looking and seeing, okay, in the DMG there's like 2 pages of stuff about what to do after you get to 20th level. And so to me it creates this chicken and egg situation with higher level campaigns, where you have Wizards of the Coast, the development team and the developers of the game going, well, our market surveys reveal that no one plays past 12th level or rarely plays past 12th level, so all of the stuff we're going to give you is geared towards those levels of play.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, well now higher level play is completely unsupported, which nobody plays in, and so everybody complains about how high level play is broken or you can't do it. And I just call bullshit on all of that.
Right.
If it's not going to be part of the game, then don't give us the character levels up to 20. Stop the character levels at 10. Just don't do it. But if you're going to give us character levels up to 20, then you need to support those styles of game. And I kind of see it as, it's a lot of pressure on a DM to say characters above 12th level continue to adventure in the same way they did at 1st level. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, because that's not really true.
It's not really true. They don't adventure in the same way. And also, if they do adventure in the same way, or you present adventures that are in the same way, you're kind of creating a situation that's not unlike Elder Scrolls Oblivion, where in the early part of the game, you're walking around and like, oh, there's some bandits and they're in fur armor and I'm going to hit them with my steel sword. And it's like, oh, there's some bandits, they're in glass armor with Daedric weapons. And
or just look at that wolf.
Look at that
You're
wolf.
at 1st level, I'm going to kill it. Oh, you're at 20th level. Oh, it's the same
It's
fight.
the same wolf. And as the world levels up with the party because you feel the need to create adventures in the same way you would for 1st level characters or 1st tier characters, you can't do that with tier 4 characters. They can't just go into a dungeon and have a site-based exploration there. They can't just go fight the big bad guy. The threats that are needed to to really challenge them are going to be world-shaking things.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about a guy at the bottom of a dungeon, there's nothing to stop them from divining, scrying, teleporting, frying.
And even though it's more difficult in 5th edition to do that, it's still possible it's certainly to use the divinations, figure out what we're going to do. You might have to fight through some minions to get there. Maybe they've mixed Gorgon's blood in the mortar of their walls, so you can't just teleport in, which any wizard worth his salt is going to mix in Gorgon's blood. Come on, guys. Lead paint. keep the scrying out. I don't know. I look at higher level Dungeons and Dragons and I go, it is in this conundrum. It's unsupported play for the most part, and yet it's some of my favorite levels of Dungeons and Dragons.
We've touched on it now. So what are the ways that you would change things? I mean, you've talked about how they need to. So let's get into it. What are some considerations for DMs?
So I think bringing back the domain game. I think acknowledging that by 10th level, your characters are movers and shakers in the world. And if you read through the DMG, you read through their tiers of play, by 10th level, you're in the cusp of that third tier. You're certainly a regional hero. Right. You are certainly known wherever you go. So what this has looked like in my own campaigns is in the Tyranny of Dragons campaign. By the time we're early on in Rise of Tiamat, the characters are sought out by others. It's not like, oh, hey, come to this king, he's going to give you a quest. It's the king would like to see you because he needs your help. He is requesting you to come, the power dynamic has shifted, particularly in the kinds of game I run where I don't like having an NPC that's higher than second tier. I really don't like having NPCs that are 11th level and higher. That's the domain of the player characters. I see it. So, if the highest level wizard in the land is, say, an 8th level wizard, that's still pretty powerful, but the party's 15th level wizard is that much more powerful than them. And so they're going to need to seek out Aristides, the Unblinking, because only he can divine the future to the extent that they know what's going on. The wizards over in Waterdeep, they're not that powerful.
Right.
They can deal with minor shoplifters and minor threats to the city, but for the really powerful stuff, they have to seek out the player characters. So I think bringing back the domain game where players establish a stronghold, attract followers, become more involved in the world, whether it's politics. If they're casters, I really see high-level casters as needing to police themselves. You can imagine that a bunch of sorcerers and wizards and whatnot of higher level, keeping tabs on people who get above a certain tier. So maybe they keep tabs and someone goes, did a new wizard learn how to cast 6th level spells this week? Contact other playing reveals, yes. Then that just starts a series. And then eventually, okay, well, let's bring them into the fold. Hey, let's invite you over for tea, a little dragon chess.
You get contacted by the Illusionati?
Yes, exactly. Because
trademarked.
Because, and maybe they might not think it's 6th level, but they think in those tiers.
Right.
In that, or in
the
those
6th realm
the
of
6th
the
circle.
6th circle. I mean, however you want to say it.
Whatever floats your boat. Those are the kinds of threats and challenges that the party might face. They might start at 10th level or higher. Higher level NPCs might approach them and be like, hey, you're really getting up there. Your power level is whatever, or your ability to do this, or you're saving that. And people take notice. I'm thinking of like the superhero organization from One Punch Man, where you're kind of like these are the highest level characters in the land. They might not like each other. They might only get together occasionally, but they know each other.
Right.
And they are aware of each other's presence. That's sort of my baseline of where I'd start. You are a mover and shaker in the world. At 10th level, you might not be a king, but you may be a baron or a duke, lesser noble. Spellcasters are certainly incredibly powerful. A 10th level cleric probably runs his own temple or starts his own cult.
Starts his own cult or temple. Yeah.
Something like
that. So like getting into the minutia of the game mechanics, like when you get up there talking about casters, I mean, like, there's some spells that you really have to account for as a DM because they can just like, oh, I came up with this brilliant little scheme.
Right.
And they're like, oh, I cast this.
I cast this, and I can figure it out. So divinations are one of those things that really bother DMs a lot. And you can go on message boards or forums, whatnot, and see people gripe about divination spells ruining their mystery, ruining this plot. Well, there's two ways to handle this. You can either ban those spells entirely, which is kind of the cheap and easy way to do it, or you can learn to work with them. A classic example of this is Speak with Dead, relatively low-level spell that ruins a lot of murder mysteries, and yet there are countless ways to fool Speak with Dead. Animate the body so there's no longer just a regular corpse. Cast Speak with Dead on it before. Attack them from a position where they don't know who killed them.
Right.
Like, those are some of the things that you have to do. So as a DM for high-level play, it really behooves you to read through every high-level divination spell that your casters can cast. What are the limitations on it? These aren't all-knowing spells.
Right.
They have limits. Contact Other Plane could drive someone mad. Only gives yes or no answers. is a limited number of questions. Personally, if I were a player, I would get around that by having my simulacra cast contact other plane for me, so I don't risk that madness myself, and then they could just melt into their puddle of snow and illusion if they go mad. But that's how I would do it if I was a player.
Right.
But that's also what I would do with my high-level DM characters. That's sort of what they're doing. So spellcasting is one of those things where you can't get around it, particularly in 5th edition where so many classes have access to spells and higher level spells are so potent. You just need to know how they work and design your adventures around that. If you really want to cut out divination magic, then dead magic zones, anti-magic zones, non-detection, amulets of proof against detection and location. There are a lot of ways around divination magic. And maybe that's a clue for your players. Right. Oh, we scryed on this location and here's the group of bad guys, but we know there's someone else there, but he's invisible to our divinations.
Yeah, it's like having a blotted out spot on Google Maps.
Right.
What are you hiding there, government?
What are you hiding there? Yes. And then that becomes a source of, okay, how does this work? Resurrection spells at that level, a lot of DMs complain about resurrection. They say easy access to resurrection magic makes death cheap. My answer to that is, well, if that's what you want, then remove it entirely or take it into account. If the bad guys have access to resurrection, then they're going to keep their champions and whatnot alive. So maybe keeping the bodies becomes a bigger deal at higher level play.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when you kill an enemy, we're taking all the bodies and the gold.
And the gold.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, this mirrors sort of our own history, where, say, a king dies on the battlefield and the fight over his body usually becomes as as contentious and chaotic as the fight that preceded it. So you can imagine that,
Certainly shifts the focus.
Right, certainly shifts the focus. So what if a group of higher level characters, they sneak into the bad guy's house or his base, they've killed him, they've taken his stuff, they take his body back with them, now they're doing what with it? Are they keeping it in stasis? Are they going to, are they going to be just right bastards and animate it so that it's now used against them? Just those are the sorts of things that a DM at higher levels needs to think about. The party will have more magic, more access to spells, and higher level effects that they can get.
But then again, the DM also has those things.
The DM can also use them against them.
If they don't learn to take the body, then you start having just like in comics, nobody ever dies.
Nobody ever dies.
It looks like they died.
Just gonna come back.
So they just come back and you're like, wait, I buried an axe in your chest. And it's like, yeah, there's the scar.
There's the scar.
I'm gonna give you one to match.
Yeah, and now you can set up rivalries that way.
Oh yeah, totally.
So you can have a lot of things like that. And I do think that comic books, particularly comic books like, say, JLA or Avengers or the Warren Ellis run of Authority, are a good model for what 20th level and above play really looks like. And so for 20th level and above, I think you need to structure your games differently. Lower than that, you can kind of play day-to-day sort of games. Like, what do your characters do this day? What do they do that day? Here's what they're doing. Whereas I think for 20th level, it's useful to move to week or month-to-month play. Okay, this is the week. What do your characters do during that week?
Right.
Is there anything interesting that we want to focus in on and tease out into an encounter?
Right. That's going to lead me to my next question, which is going back to our Out of the Abyss high-level campaign. We ended at around 16, but then you did a thing that I thought was really cool.
Yes, for me, in my mind, I'm making a character in a campaign, or I'm watching you guys play your characters, and I'm thinking, what do these characters look like at 20th level? And I've always wanted to run a 20th level epilogue to a campaign. So even though we ended around 16th, maybe 17th level, I think, I wanted to see, okay, let's play an adventure where everybody's 20th level, your 20th level version of yourselves. And then we just kind of talk it out. A year has passed since the end of the campaign has ended. What do your characters get up to in that year? Is there anything within that year that you want to focus in on? So for Emma's dwarf, her Oathbreaker Paladin, she wanted him to get married, and so we had to find the Brawn Anvil Battlehammer wedding in Grackle's Tug, which she crashed.
Yeah.
Charmed the pants off the bride-to-be and
completed a lot of tough man competitions. Just good dwarven fun.
Good dwarven fun. Get some arm wrestling, some drinking, poisoned the beer supply, and then slipped the bride-to-be a filter of love, which she drank. Of course, fell in love with the paladin, and then he teleported out of there.
Not before.
Before setting off an earthquake inside the wedding party at Gauntlegrim.
It's one of the best spells ever.
Yes, earthquake is really good,
especially
in an underground campaign. It's very, very broken.
They were
in
fine.
A good way.
They were fine. They had dwarves.
There are dwarves there, and there are earth elementals and wizards who can cast walls of force to keep the roof from collapsing on everybody. And some people teleported out. It was okay. It wasn't as... But it started a war between Gauntlgrim and Gracklestugh as he kidnapped the bride.
A la Troy.
A la Troy, yes, exactly. So that's sort of just an example of, okay, what do you get up to? Well, really, what Brondel had been up to is overthrowing the Deep King, establishing himself as sort of the new king of Gracklestugh, and making that city the powerhouse of the Underdark in the wake of the fall of Men's of Branson.
Right.
Or we're looking at something like Tony. What Tony's character wanted to do was...
The human vampire.
The human vampire, necromancer. Wanted to master time travel magic using the Illithids in the far realm, travels back in time to both kill the mortal who will become Orcus, while at the same time traveling to Orcus's realm in the Abyss and killing him there, breaking his staff. As he's reforming from being from his ordeal in the Underdark, and sort of taking out Orcus at both ends.
Yeah, you're welcome, Autumn, because that was my idea. I was like, some Doctor Who shit right there.
Yeah,
you have to kill him at the same time in the past and the future.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And so getting to explore what the Far Realm looks like, how you can use fourth dimensional travel to time travel in the Forgotten Realms. That's the kind of thing that I would expect higher level casters to get up to.
Right.
I mean, Wish is just the beginning of 20th level magic. Time travel should be possible. Those are the adventures that require some thought on the DM's part. But also, I find that the more you relax about the rules and how they interact, the easier it is to run these kind of games. So if you try to maintain a tight grip on the rules and how do they all work and what's going on, this is why I recommend doing month to month play, because then you can just say, what do your characters get up to in that month? Are they building their army? Are they establishing their base? Maybe it takes them a few years to build a castle. You can sort of relax and just have the players narrate what they do for a year.
Right.
And then when you need to, focus in very quickly and say, okay, well, let's play out that encounter.
Let's play out that week of travel.
Let's play out that week of travel. Yeah. Let's play out that you guys acting as emissaries to the Fire Court and traveling to the City of Brass to make a deal with the Ifrit. In terms of rules, I think epic level boons that are in the DMG are the place to start. I think that a lot of those are very interesting powers, certainly increase the power level of 20th level characters. I would recommend adding or allowing 20th level characters to begin to take another subclass from their class's features. So if you're a battle master fighter, 20th level, now maybe you start walking up and taking levels in champion. And not getting any hit points, no more proficiency, nothing like that. We're talking pure class abilities here, nothing with a number attached to it. Right. So that the math kind of stays the same, but now you're increasing your power by getting, say, the class abilities of a third level champion or something like that.
Yeah.
If you're a multi-class character, it's your opportunity to take one of your classes up to its 20th level after that point, and using the boon mechanic as a way to do that is how I would do it.
Most definitely. Yeah. We played up to epic level, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the perils of, say you want to start an epic level campaign? Everybody make an 18th level character, and we're going to play.
Right. Well, that's one of the things that I've always wanted to do, and from a DM perspective, I'm always open to the party going, hey, we want to play 20th level. We want to play 20th level characters. I understand from a player perspective that learning your character as it progresses, even if you're doing a fast-paced leveling scheme where you're leveling up once every 2 weeks, even doing something like that allows you to get to know the character and what they're capable of. So if you're starting at higher levels, you might want to have a true session zero where all the player does is make all their characters together, talk through what they're capable of, what kind of combos are going to work, what spells can they cast. Because if you just make
even run a little combat, maybe
even run a consequence-free combat just to get them used to it, and maybe the first couple of sessions, if you're starting a really high-level campaign, are consequence-free. They're just light sessions where you're sort of setting things up. People are getting a feel for their characters, because there's a difference between I played this character from level 1 in a campaign that lasted a couple of years, and you were doing hardcore experience and you really earned those 20 levels. You're going to know that character much better than if you just made a 20th level character and brought it to the table.
Yeah.
And also just, that character's a fully fleshed out personality. They have experiences that you've run them through.
Yeah, they've loved, they've lost.
They've loved and lost, and they have enemies and desires and ambitions, and I would say that those are equally as important to a 20th level game. Having characters that give a shit and that want something and that have ambitions is going to fuel what the campaign looks about. Whereas in lower levels, you can get away with my character being like, oh, he's just here for the ride, and then the DM provides the adventure. Players really need to step up their game and have something they want to do in order to drive higher level play.
Because if you're that good at stuff, you need to know what to do to use that stuff.
Absolutely.